Ethan was an ordinary boy who loved watching the stars at night. While other students in his college were busy with social media or parties, Ethan would spend hours reading books about space and life beyond Earth. He always wondered if aliens really existed. He used to joke with his best friend Riva, saying, "Maybe you're secretly from another planet." Riva would just laugh, but she never denied it either. Riva was different. She was smart, quiet, and always calm. Her eyes were a strange shade of silver, and her skin had a soft glow under certain lights. No one knew much about her family. She never talked about her parents, and nobody had ever seen her house. Even her voice had a strange musical tone, like it didn't quite belong to this world. Despite her mystery, Ethan and Riva became close friends. They studied together, sat under the stars, and shared thoughts that no one else would understand. Ethan often felt peaceful around her, even when she said or did things that confused him. One day, something unexpected happened. It was a cloudy Tuesday afternoon when Riva quietly said, "My mother wants to meet you." Ethan looked up from his notebook, surprised. "Your mother?" "Yes," Riva replied. "She asked me to bring you to our home." Ethan blinked. He had never even heard Riva mention her mother before. "Why would she want to meet me?" Riva tilted her head slightly. "She's curious about you. That's all I can say for now." The way she said it made Ethan feel both nervous and excited. A part of him had always wanted to know more about her life, but now that the moment had come, he wasn't sure if he was ready. "Is this like a dinner invitation?" he asked, trying to smile. Riva gave him a soft, unreadable look. "Not exactly. You'll understand when you get there." The next day, after class, Riva met Ethan at the edge of the college grounds. She wore a long silver scarf that shimmered in the sun. "Are you ready?" she asked. Ethan nodded, though his heart was beating fast. He followed her as they walked away from the busy streets and into a quiet forest on the outskirts of town. The trees were tall and thick, and the path seemed old, like it had been forgotten by time. After walking for nearly an hour, Ethan finally saw something up ahead, a strange building hidden between the trees. It wasn't a normal house. It was round, with smooth white walls that seemed to shine. It didn't look like it was made of bricks or wood. The shape was clean, almost too perfect, and tiny lights blinked along the edges. "What is this place?" Ethan asked, amazed. "My home," Riva said softly. They reached the front, and the door slid open without anyone touching it. Ethan stepped inside carefully. The air inside was cool and had a soft humming sound. The walls glowed faintly, and objects floated gently in the air. Books, tools, even something that looked like a glowing crystal. Then a woman entered the room. She was tall, even taller than Riva, and wore a long, flowing robe that shimmered with colors Ethan had never seen before. Her hair was silver and her eyes were bright like stars. She moved gracefully, as if she was gliding rather than walking. "Welcome, Ethan," she said, in a voice that was kind but powerful. "I am Sorel, Riva's mother." Ethan tried to smile, but his hands were cold. "Nice to meet you," he said politely. Sorel nodded. "We have been watching you for a while. You are different from the others." Ethan didn't know what to say. The way she looked at him made him feel like she could read his mind. Riva stood beside her mother, calm as always. Sorel led him into another room, where a round table was set with food, though the food didn't look normal either. It had strange shapes and colors, but the smell was sweet and inviting. Ethan tried a small bite and was surprised by how delicious it was. As they ate, Sorel asked him many questions, not just about school or hobbies, but about deeper things. "What do you fear most, Ethan? What do you believe in? Would you keep a secret that could change the world?" Ethan answered honestly, even though he didn't fully understand why she was asking these things. Riva watched silently. almost like she was waiting to see how he would respond. The sun had long gone down when Sorel finally said, "You must be tired. We have prepared a place for you to rest." Ethan followed her down a quiet hallway. The room they gave him was peaceful, with soft lights and a strange window that showed not just the forest, but stars, moving in real time as if he were floating in space. He sat down on the soft bed and stared at the view, trying to understand everything that had happened. Why had she really invited him? What was this place? And why did he feel like he had just stepped into another world? He closed his eyes, not knowing that this visit would soon change his life forever. Ethan woke up slowly. The bed he was lying on felt softer than anything he had ever experienced before. It almost felt like a cloud. For a few seconds, he forgot where he was. But then he opened his eyes and remembered everything. The strange house in the forest, the glowing walls, the floating objects, and Sorel, Riva's mysterious mother. He sat up and looked around. The room was bright, but there were no lamps or bulbs. The walls themselves were glowing softly, like sunlight trapped inside them. The window still showed the night sky, filled with stars. He stared at it in awe. The stars were moving. Slowly, but clearly. It was like watching a live space video. Ethan stood up and walked around the room. Everything felt different. The floor was warm, even though there were no carpets. There were no switches, no wires, just smooth walls and quiet sounds that made the place feel alive. A gentle chime rang out, and the door slid open without a sound. Riva was standing there. "Did you sleep well?" she asked with a kind smile. Ethan nodded. "Yes, but I feel like I'm in a dream." Riva tilted her head, amused. "You're not dreaming, but I understand how it feels." She led him out of the room and into a hallway that seemed longer than before. The walls had symbols on them, soft glowing patterns that moved slowly, like they were breathing. "Where are we going?" Ethan asked. "My mother wants to show you something," Riva replied. They entered a round room that looked like a mix between a library and a science lab. Strange shapes floated in the air, like models of planets, stars, and galaxies. One of them zoomed toward Ethan, stopping just in front of his face. He stepped back in surprise, but it didn't touch him. It was like a 3D picture made of light, surreal. Stood in the center of the room, her robe flowing around her like mist. "Ethan," she said, "before we talk more, there are things you need to see." She waved her hand, and suddenly the entire room changed. The walls melted into stars. The floor disappeared. Ethan gasped. He felt like he was floating in space. "This is our home," Sorel said. A beautiful blue and purple planet appeared in front of him, spinning slowly. It was not Earth. It was something else, distant, glowing, and full of strange land shapes. "We came from here long ago," Sorel explained. "Not to harm, not to conquer. We came to observe, to learn." Ethan turned to her, shocked. "So, you really are aliens?" Sorel smiled gently. "Yes, but we prefer the word visitors. We came peacefully. Some of us live among humans. We live quietly, helping in small ways, never revealing ourselves." "Why are you telling me this?" Ethan asked, his voice low. "Because you are different," she replied. "You are kind, curious, and your heart is open. Riva has watched you closely. She sees something special in you." Riva stood beside her mother now, looking slightly nervous. "You invited me here to test me?" Ethan asked. "In a way, yes," Sorel said. "We do not show this part of our world to anyone, but we believe you can be trusted." Ethan felt a strange mix of emotions, honor, confusion, fear, and excitement all at once. He looked at Riva. "You knew all along?" She nodded. "I wanted to tell you many times, but I wasn't allowed. Until now." Ethan sat down, trying to understand everything. "So why now? Why me?" Sorel walked closer. Because we are at a point where trust matters, and we want to connect deeper with the human world. Not just observe it from far away, but we can only do that if we find humans who are ready, who can keep secrets, who can understand without fear. Ethan looked down at his hands. He was just a normal boy, or at least he had been. Now he was part of something far bigger than he had ever imagined. You want me to, what? Join you? Sorel didn't answer right away. Instead, she waved her hand again and the stars disappeared. The room returned to normal. For now, we want you to learn, she said. Spend time with us. Ask questions. Explore. If, in time, you feel ready, we will explain the next step. Riva stepped forward. I'll be with you the whole way, Ethan. He looked at her, and for the first time, he noticed something in her eyes. Something warm and gentle. Something more than friendship. He smiled softly. Okay, I'll stay. I want to know more. Sorel nodded. Good. Then your journey begins now. From that moment on, Ethan knew his life would never be the same. He had entered a world no one else knew existed. A world filled with mysteries, stars, and silent watchers who had lived among humans for years. But deep inside, he also knew something else. This wasn't just about learning. Something bigger was waiting for him. Something even Riva hadn't told him yet, and whatever it was, it had already begun. Ethan's days in Riva's strange house felt like he was living in another world. Every corner of the place held secrets. The walls would change colors with mood. The ceiling sometimes disappeared to show the stars above, and the food, though unfamiliar, was always delicious and gave him energy he couldn't explain. But what surprised him the most wasn't the floating objects or glowing lights. It was the feeling of peace. He didn't hear city traffic or people shouting. There was only soft music in the air, sometimes played by invisible instruments, and the calm voice of Riva guiding him through each new day. Each morning, Sorel gave Ethan new things to learn. He wasn't just learning about alien technology or strange devices. He was learning about trust, emotions, choices, and the meaning of balance. Sorel explained that their people, called the Aurelians, believed deeply in harmony between mind, heart, and the universe. One day, Sorel led Ethan into a circular room filled with floating symbols. She stood beside a floating table, placing her, hand over it. A bright light flashed and a small object appeared. It looked like a thin crystal, about the size of a pencil. This, she said, is a memory core. It holds the thoughts of one of our elders. Ethan leaned closer. Can I see it? Sorel nodded. She placed the crystal near his forehead, and before Ethan could ask how it worked, a wave of images filled his mind. He saw a planet far away, blue, gold, and full of life. He saw beings like Riva walking through fields of light, floating cities, and stars so close you could almost touch them. And then, he saw something else. Fear. The Aurelians had once been in danger. Another alien race, dark and violent, had found their planet and tried to control it. Many lives were lost. That was when a group of Aurelians had escaped to other parts of the galaxy, including Earth. When the vision ended, Ethan stepped back, breathing hard. So you came here to survive? Sorel gave a sad smile. We came to survive and to start again, peacefully. Ethan sat down. His heart was heavy. Why are you showing me this now? Because you must understand our past, Sorel said gently. Only then can you be part of our future. Later that evening, Ethan and Riva walked through a garden. Behind the house, the plants glowed faintly in the dark. Some of them moved, as if they were alive in a different way. Riva touched a flower, and it opened slowly, revealing a soft light inside. This world, It's beautiful, Ethan said quietly. Riva looked at him. It's not our world, but we made it feel like home. Ethan turned to her. Riva, why did you choose me? Out of all the people in the world, why bring me here? She hesitated for a moment, then said, because you never looked at me like I was strange. From the first day we met, you listened. You were kind. You were honest. My people believe that real connection is rare. But with you, I felt it. Ethan felt his cheeks grow warm. No one had ever said something like that to him before. Riva smiled softly. But there's something else you need to know. My mother didn't invite you here just for friendship. There's a deeper reason. What is it? He asked. She looked up at the stars. Soon, a decision will be made. The council of our people will choose whether we stay on Earth or leave forever. Ethan's eyes widened. Leave! Why? Because many Aurelians believe humans are not ready, Riva explained. They fear humans are too quick to judge, too full of fear, too dangerous. Ethan stayed silent. He had seen how people reacted to things they didn't understand. He couldn't blame them for being afraid. But you, Riva continued, are the first step. If my mother can show the council that trust between an Aurelian and a human is possible, it could change everything. Ethan understood now. He wasn't just a guest. He was being tested, not with exams or puzzles, but with honesty, patience, and emotion. The next day, Sorel invited Ethan into a new room he hadn't seen before. It had a single chair in the center, and above it floated a large glowing orb. This is the chamber of reflection, Sorel said. It allows us to see the truth in someone's heart. Ethan stepped forward, nervous. You want me to sit in it? Sorel nodded. Only if you are ready. He took a deep breath and sat down. The orb above began to glow brighter. Suddenly, memories from his life began to play around him. He saw his childhood, his dreams of exploring space, the loneliness he sometimes felt, and the quiet happiness when he met Riva. He even saw moments when he had been selfish or afraid, but he didn't look away. He accepted it all. When it ended, Sorel walked toward him. You passed. Ethan looked up. Passed what? The test of truth, she said. You didn't hide from your flaws. You didn't pretend. That is what makes you strong. He stood up slowly. So, what happens now? Sorel looked at him with eyes full of wisdom. Now, the council will meet, and you will be part of it. Ethan's heart pounded. He had no idea what that meant, but he knew one thing for sure. This was no longer just about learning or curiosity. Tsa-ing, future of an entire alien race now rested, at least in part, on him, and he couldn't let them down. The day of the council meeting had arrived. Ethan stood in front of a glowing doorway, his hands shaking slightly. He had never imagined he would be part of something so important. He was just a normal student a few days ago. Now he was going to speak to a group of alien leaders, elders who had lived for hundreds of years and had knowledge far beyond anything on Earth. Riva stood beside him, calm as always. She gently touched his shoulder. You don't have to be perfect, she said softly. Just be honest. That's what they're looking for. Ethan nodded. I'll try. The door opened with a quiet sound. Ethan and Riva stepped inside. The council room was like nothing Ethan had ever seen before. It was wide and circular, with a dome-shaped ceiling that looked like the night sky. Stars moved slowly across it, as if they were real. Around the edge of the room were 7 tall chairs, each with a figure sitting quietly. These were the Aurelian council members. They wore long robes that shimmered like water, and their faces were calm, serious, and wise. Sorel stood in the center, facing them. I bring before you the human named Ethan, she said. He has seen our world, our truth, and he has not run away in fear. One of the council members, a male with deep blue eyes, spoke first. Why him? What makes this human worthy of knowing our kind? Sorrel turned to Ethan and gave him a small nod. It was time for him to speak. Ethan stepped forward. His voice was quiet at first. I didn't know what to expect when I came here. I thought I was just visiting a friend's house. But then I saw your technology, your planet, your past, and your pain. He paused, gathering his thoughts. I know humans are not perfect. We've made mistakes. We hurt each other sometimes. We fear things we don't understand. But we also have kindness. We dream big. We care deeply. And we want to grow. Another council member, a woman with silver skin, leaned forward. Would you keep our secrets if asked? Ethan didn't hesitate. Yes. Not because I'm forced to, but because I care. I would never want to harm Riva or her people. Do you believe humans are ready to know we exist? She asked again. Ethan looked down. Not all of them. Not yet. But some are. Some would listen. Some would protect you. There was silence in the room. The council members seemed to be speaking to each other without words. Their eyes would glow faintly, then return to normal. Ethan stood still, unsure what they were thinking. Finally, the leader of the council, an elder with glowing hands, spoke. We have one final test. He raised his hand, and a new doorway opened on the side of the room. Inside was a chamber full of lights, moving shapes, and a single device sitting in the middle. It looked like a chair, but with metal arms and glowing. Wires! This is the bonding seat, the elder said. If you sit in it, you will be shown both your world and ours, your past, your fears, your heart, and it will show us everything as well. Nothing can be hidden. This is the only way for us to trust fully. Ethan turned to Riva. Is it safe? She nodded slowly. Yes, but it's not easy. It shows your true self, no matter how painful or private. Ethan took a deep breath. I'll do it. He stepped into the chamber and sat in the seat. The moment he touched the armrests, a wave of energy flowed through his body. It didn't hurt, but it made him feel like he was floating and sinking at the same time. His mind opened, and the lights around him started to spin faster. He saw his memories again, his lonely childhood, the time he cried after losing his pet, the days he wished someone truly understood him. He saw himself looking at the stars, hoping there was more to life than what he knew. Then he saw Riva, their first meeting, the way she listened, the peaceful silence they shared, the strange connection he always felt when he was around her. And then he saw her memories. He saw her leaving her home planet as a child, the sadness in her heart, the confusion when she first came to Earth, how people stared at her for being different, how lonely she felt until the day she met Ethan. When the machine stopped, Ethan was breathing heavily. His cheeks were wet with tears. But Riva was there, holding his hand. You did it, she whispered. The council stood up from their seats. The leader spoke again. We have seen your truth, and we accept it. Ethan couldn't believe what he was hearing. You mean, you trust me? Yes, the elder said. You have passed all our tests. You have shown us honesty, emotion, loyalty, and strength. You are the first human we will allow into our trust. Sorrel walked forward with a proud look on her face. You have proven that our people and your people can connect. You have opened a door that was closed for centuries. Riva turned to Ethan. That's why my mother invited you. She saw what I felt, that you were different, that you were the key. Ethan smiled, still overwhelmed. So, what happens now? The council leader raised his hand. You will be given knowledge. our language, our science, our way of life. And in time, you will help us decide if humans are ready to know the truth." Ethan nodded slowly. "I'll do my best." "You already have," Riva said softly. As they left the chamber, Ethan looked back at the glowing stars on the ceiling. He had come a long way from being just a curious student. Now he was something more. He was a bridge between two worlds, and his real journey was just beginning. After the council accepted Ethan, everything changed. He woke up the next morning feeling both excited and nervous. The house no longer felt like just a strange place. It felt like a home, a place where he belonged. Riva was waiting for him in the garden, her silver eyes shining in the soft morning light. "Today," she said softly, "you will start your training. We will teach you everything, our language, our history, our ways." Ethan took a deep breath. He felt ready, but he also knew this was only the beginning. The days that followed were full of learning and discovery. Riva and Sorel were patient teachers. They explained their technology, how their people lived in peace, and how they protected themselves without using violence. Ethan learned to read the glowing symbols on the walls, to understand the music that filled the air, and even to use a small device that let him communicate with others across great distances. But the most important lessons were about trust and respect. Sorel often reminded Ethan, "Our strength comes not from power, but from understanding. You must listen with your heart." One afternoon, as Ethan practiced using a light-based device that showed images from faraway places, Riva sat beside him. "Do you ever feel scared?" she asked quietly. Ethan thought for a moment. "Yes. Sometimes I'm scared I won't be good enough, that I'll fail you, or your people." Riva smiled gently. "Fear is natural, but it can also teach us. It shows us what we care about most." Ethan nodded. "I care about you, and I want to help your people." Riva looked at him with a new warmth. "You already have." Weeks passed, and Ethan's bond with the Aurelians grew stronger. But one evening, Sorel asked him to join her in a special room, the room where the council met. "This is the next step," Sorel said. "You will meet others like you, humans who have been chosen by different visitors. Together, you will learn how to be guardians of the secret." Ethan felt a mix of fear and excitement. When he entered the room, he saw 3 other people, humans from different countries and backgrounds. Each of them looked as amazed and unsure as he felt. They introduced themselves and shared their stories. Each had met their own visitor. Each had faced tests, and each had made the choice to trust and learn. Sorel smiled at them all. "You are the new bridge between our worlds. It is your responsibility to protect this secret, to help us understand each other, and to prepare the way for future peace." Ethan felt proud but also humbled. This was bigger than anything he had imagined. One night, as he sat looking at the stars outside, Riva joined him. "Ethan," she said softly, "there is something I want to show you." She took his hand, and together they walked to a part of the house he hadn't seen before, a small room filled with pictures and objects from their home planet. "This is where I come from," Riva said. "It is beautiful, but it is also a place of memory and hope." Ethan looked at the images, floating cities, glowing forests, endless skies. "Do you ever want to go back?" he asked. Riva smiled sadly. "Sometimes, but this is my home now, and you are part of it." Ethan squeezed her hand. "And you are part of mine." In the days that followed, Ethan continued to learn, but he also started to teach. He shared stories about Earth, about humans' dreams and struggles, their kindness and mistakes. The Aurelians listened carefully. He realized that the real bond between their worlds wasn't just about technology or knowledge. It was about understanding and accepting differences, about building trust where there had been fear. One evening, the council returned. They told Ethan and the others that their tests were over. The Aurelians had decided to stay hidden for now, but to trust a small group of humans like Ethan. These humans would help prepare the world for the day when the truth could be shared. Ethan felt a deep sense of responsibility. He looked at Riva and Sorel and then at the others. "We will protect your secret," he said firmly, "and we will do everything to help both our worlds live in peace." Riva smiled, tears shining in her eyes. "You are more than a friend, Ethan. You are family." As the sun set behind the glowing trees, Ethan knew that his life had changed forever. The invitation to Riva's mother's house was just the beginning. Now, he was part of a story much bigger than himself, a story of trust, hope, and the promise of a better future for humans and visitors alike. And no matter what challenges came, he was ready to face them because he was not alone. He had his alien family, and together they would protect their secret and build a new world.